People need an income that's guaranteed to them.
If you lose money to taxes, you're never getting that money back.
You need to get serious about adding some lower risk.
Greed. I don't like greed.
The thing to be afraid of, honestly, is the thing that we're not thinking of, the black swan event.
There's a tsunami coming. Bye.
Welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Just coffee talk.
There's a lot of noise, a lot of chatter. Who do you listen to? Who do you not listen to? You have to stay focused.
A fun and informative look at the issues of wealth, retirement, and protecting your life savings.
These advisors out there that were trained to sell, and have all these fees. They don't want to talk about this product, so they make less money.
And now, Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers.
Hello again, and welcome to Retirement Coffee Talk with Charisse Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Online, of course, as always, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. The reason we have this show is to say, you know what? We know that you are going to come to a time in your life called retirement, and it can be scary for a lot of people, stepping away from your job, but also stepping away from your paycheck. How do you continue to get paid? Sure, there's Social Security, but there's probably got to be a lot more, and that's where Charisse can help. Give us a call. As always, 833-368-3680. Charisse, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It's been a busy week.
Yeah, we're out of summer now, into September, and moving toward the fourth quarter of the year here. And this is, we laugh about it, but the year can just slip by on us. I mean, from this point forward, it's just like, hello, Christmas. Honest to gosh, you're going to go to Home Depot and you're going to see Christmas trees before you know it here. And so if it's time to sit down and talk about your finances before the end of the year, this would be the time to make an appointment.
You know what? I just saw candy corn in the stores. Like candy corn. Do they know that candy corn is my nemesis? Like, it took me everything not to buy that bag of candy corn because I was like, it's too early. I can't touch the candy corn until at least 1 week before Halloween because I was like, this is bad.
I love me some candy corn.
I had absolute control. I want you to know that. I had absolute control, and I picked up the bag, and I fondled it a little bit, and then I put it down. I'm like, not till October. We're not even in October yet.
Oh, that's funny.
I know. Yeah.
I love it. All right. Well, what we do here on this show is talk about you and talk about retirement and talk about how we might be able to help. And one of the things that you do out there when you get close to retirement is you start Googling, and you say, well, let's see, how much do I need to retire? And then you see numbers and you go, oh my gosh, I'm not even close. That's okay. This story is for you, I believe. You ask people how much they need to retire, and a lot of times the number that comes back is I need $1 million, or they say even more than that. So I have a stat for you today. How many people do you think actually have saved $1 million for retirement? And the number is 3.2%.
Good gracious.
Wow. So that must mean that 97% of people in retirement are miserable. Is that right?
I wonder how many are at 999,000.
It says here, and this is some new research, it says 80% of retirees report that their retirement meets or exceeds their expectations. So apparently you don't need $1 million to be happy in retirement. So let's talk to the other 97% right now. You are in your 60s and you're grinding away at work. It's getting hard. And you see all these young people coming in and they've got their ideas and you're trying to keep up with all the new computer stuff. And I get it. I am in your shoes. So let's talk to that person. Charisse, if somebody is grinding away and they're trying to get to 65 to get to Medicare, or they're they're trying to get to Social Security at 67 or 68 because they think that's what they have to do. What is our message to that person today?
If you are 60 years old, I know how you feel right now because I work with a lot of 60-year-olds, and you're probably thinking, okay, I'm going to work to 65 till I get my Medicare, get my accounts up to $1 million, and then I'm going to retire. But the insanity from the age of 60 to 65 will really accelerate your gray hair. and the reason is because working today is different than it used to be 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. If you are 60 years old, you are probably training a lot of young people and you're pulling your hair out because they want to be on their Facebook and they want to have their phones in front of them, which is a different dynamic than it was 10 years ago, because that was a big no-no in offices. And now you're not going to get employees working for you or staff if you don't allow some of that. Mm-hmm. So those people who are nearing retirement that really want to retire, in my opinion, you do not have to wait till 65 to retire. What you need to do is get a written plan and really evaluate what your inventory is and what your liabilities are. And then, can I retire now if I decide to turn in those keys to my boss and get out of Dodge so I don't have to spend the next 5 years pulling my hair out, trying to figure out this new generation and how to train them? When we talk about that and getting that written plan, you know, the biggest question out there today is, can I retire today, Sharice? It doesn't mean I want to, but if I just get so fed up and I want to be done, can I do it? And that's what just people want to know. So they have the option if they decide to do that. And the one thing you have to look at first is take inventory. What are your fixed incomes? If you're 60, are you going to collect Social Security at 62 or 67, or you wait till age 70? And do you have a pension coming in? And what do you have? Cash rents? Do you have other interest payments coming into you? So we got to take, what are all my fixed incomes coming in? And then we figure out, okay, do we have any liabilities? Do we have a mortgage we have to pay off? Do we have a car payment? Do we have anything we need to buy in the next couple of years or fix up on the house? And when we get that total math figured out, and then we look at your total assets you have saved, we'll be able to figure out a well-oiled plan on, can you or can't you retire? And what happens at 8 out of 10 people who come into our office, guess what? You can retire at age 60. And more people are so surprised and so shocked. But what happens is when you're working, you don't understand the decumulation phase of life. You've been accumulating your money all these years, and now you're going to decumulation, which means you're still going to grow your money. You're just going to start living on it. And we call that the withdrawal strategy, and how not to run out of money. So having a written plan is key. 1 out of 5 retirees have a written plan. And this is why there's not a ton of confidence when people are entering retirement. And this is why there's not a ton of confidence on how much they can spend in retirement. They miss the needle on that. They should be spending more their go-go years, the first 10 years. And so it is important to have a financial advisor in your life in the right season of life. We call it your retirement planning season, that actually specializes in understanding you, what you're about to go through in that journey, and what you actually need for the first 10 years, and then the next 10 years, and then the next 10 years, because we've seen it for over 20 years.
You're listening to Retirement Coffee Talk with Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth, talking today about you who are in your 60s and, gee, it sounds like a great thing to retire, but you just don't know. So you grind away and you keep on going, and it's getting harder at work, and you wonder, oh, gosh, I wonder at what point can I step away from all of this? Now, Sharice, if somebody comes in, takes us up on this, we do the portfolio x-ray, and the word that comes back is this: you've got money, you've saved well, you've done this, but what we need to do is we need to work on the house payment. We need to work on the car payment. If we can get rid of some debt,
yes,
then we probably have more liquid in order to enjoy our retirement. And that's, I think, that part of the meeting, I think, can be really productive too, because if you tell me that we got to work on this, then I got something to do. I think about all these years. You remember when they did fundraisers at work and they would have that thermometer and they would color it in red and it would go up a level and it would go up another level. Nobody does that anymore, but that's what we did. And it's kind of that way. If you think of that thermometer in your head and you're almost at the top, but you just got to get a little bit more red up there, give me something to work on. And I think debt management is something that you could work on for a year.
So debt management is key to being able to retire, because you don't want to retire with a ton of debt. So when people come in, it's like, Sharice, can I retire? I just want to know, can I pull the trigger when I decide to pull the trigger? The biggest thing we have to look at are those liabilities. And if there's too much debt, then you're not going to be able to retire. So once in a while, people come in, and you might be 55 or 60 years old, and I'll say, okay, you have to work 2 more years to get this debt paid down. And once you get it paid down, then we can retire. So it's not all roses when you come to our office to get these written plans. It's straight up honesty. It's tough love, and we're going to show you how to do it. And we're going to show you how to stop doing some things and chisel down the debt so that you can get where you want to get in the next couple of years. But we do get people like that, and that's okay. And that's what we're here for.
Well, we would love to have that meeting, and I bet you would like to have that meeting too, to just really figure out where you are on this road to retirement. Are you almost there? Can you get over one more hump and get to retirement? Let's do the math. We say it every single week here. Let's do the math on your retirement. We'll do that for you at no charge, no obligation. Give us a call or use our website. Here's our number, 833-368-3680. 833-368-3680. Or if you use our website, whether it's on your phone, it's on your tablet, it's on your computer, you're going to see a gold box there, and it says Complimentary Retirement Consultation. That's exactly what it is. Click on that. We're going to ask you to put a little information in there. Our team will reach out to you. The conversation begins. How can we help? What are you concerned about? What are you worried about? What terrifies you about retirement? Let's get it all out on the table and get you some answers. Again, 833-368-3680. Well, we hear this all the time about the amount of money that is going to be inherited by people over the next 10, 15, 20 years. The baby boom generation, the silent generation, all this money is going to come down. So if you have an elderly parent, there is a possibility that some inheritance could come your way. According to this article in MarketWatch that I'm looking at, it says many of us are not ready for an inheritance. And I go, what does it take to get ready? Send me the check, right? So, but that's not what they're talking about here. It says, number one, you could also inherit your parent's advisor. That comes with some baggage. You could inherit lots of different kinds of assets. Cash is one thing. Assets are another thing. Taxes become an issue. Cherise, tell me about how you counsel people when they're getting an inheritance and how to handle it.
Managing an inheritance sometimes can be a really hard thing, because when people get this cash from the bank that they inherit, they get these assets, they get the homes, they get these stocks. They also inherit an advisor. They tend to say, okay, well, I have all this money now. I'm going to go spend it. I'm going to pay off all of my debt. I'm going to go buy a new car. And they do a lot of these wrong things when they get this inheritance. And at the same time, they're cashing out retirement accounts 100%. And they're paying the full tax load on it when that shouldn't be part of the strategy. And that's just because, I don't know. I think when people get money and they get flush with money, they just get excited and they don't think, and they're moving so fast. And I've just seen so many things that did not work out by spending all that inheritance so quickly. And the biggest thing is being hammered with taxes. And so there's a couple of things. So let me give you one example of where you don't have to worry about taxes right now. You inherit a house. Let's say your mom and dad bought a house for $500,000, and 30 years later, it's $1 million. When they pass away and you inherit this house, there's no capital gains on that, which is a beautiful thing. So it's called the step-up provision. And there's stocks that also do that in portfolios, which is a nice tax break for most people. Where the tax hazard comes in is those IRAs and those 401ks. When you inherit an IRA and 401k, Uncle Sam says you absolutely have to cash these out over 10 years. You cannot stretch them for the rest of your life anymore. You have to cash them out. Some people have been making really big mistakes since the Secure Act 2.0 took place. This is when this rule changed, and they're cashing the whole thing out. I've seen people cash out $1 million in 1 year. Makes no sense to me. Why wouldn't we let it grow, spread it out, come up with some sort of strategy over the next 10 years instead of get hammered with taxes? You might very well be retiring in 5 years. So why would we pay the tax bill now when you're probably going to possibly be in a lower tax bracket in the future if we plan right? So this is where we come in handy, because we're one of the very few advisory firms around the country that does tax planning, so that we can leave a potential tax-free legacy to your kiddos and your heirs, and then even a possible tax-free income while you're living. If we put our heads down, we do a little bit of work, but there is a tax strategy involved. And when it comes to inheritance, don't spend all your money. Let's come up with a plan. I see people inheriting money from their parents when they're 40 years old, 45 years old. And the first thing they go do is they want to go buy a car, a ridiculous expensive car. And I remember mom saying, oh, my kids are so responsible. They're going to save this retirement. And then mom and dad pass away. And then the next thing I say, hey, we're going to buy this and we're going to buy this. And I'm like, it's hard to coach that up.
There's the phrase here in this article goes along with what you were saying is don't get Lamborghini fever.
Don't get Lamborghini fever.
Yep.
When you inherit $1 million, that is easy to do. So how do you make sure that doesn't happen? You better be working with a financial advisor that says, no, do not jump off the ledge here. Let's get control. Let's save this money. Maybe spend a little bit if you inherit this money.
It seems so simple, that a parent would pass away and the money would come down and that would be it. But there's so many more issues that go along with it, a lot in the tax area. You'd probably need some advice. So if you see that coming in the future, that's a part of the conversation that we can have with you at Zinnia Wealth. Give us a call. That conversation is called our complimentary retirement consultation. And you can get one at 833-368-3680. 833-368-3680, or use our website, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com, and hit the gold box that says complimentary retirement consultation. So, Sharice, it's crazy that I'm already talking about this, but here we are mid-September, and we are about a month away from the Medicare window opening up. Mm-hmm. And this is a time when you will take a look at what you're using and say, is this still good for me, or has my health changed, my prescriptions changed? Do I need to shop around a little bit? I can tell you this, that there's word out there because of the big, beautiful bill and a lot of different politics that Medicare premiums could possibly go up. And there's a good chance that the drug part of it, Part D, could go up substantially, maybe as much as $50 a month. So this is going to get people's attention. And they're going to say, okay, Sharice talks about Advantage plans. She talks about supplemental plans. She talks about Medicare and shop it around. So what can you tell people? What are they in for, and how can you help?
'Tis the season to be shopping, and Medicare season is upon us. October 15th is when you can start changing your plans. December 7th is when you cannot do that again. So what's happening in the Medicare world is that there's going to be higher costs to the average individual, where you have a Medicare supplement where you pay a premium. You get to go wherever you want as long as it's medically necessary, versus the Medicare Advantage plan where it's an HMO or PPO. You got to follow a network of doctors. Most of them don't have premiums and copays are pretty low, but that's going to change. I think we're going to see a lot of people moving over to the Medicare supplement because Advantage plans, we're going to see more premiums on Advantage plans. We're going to see higher copays. And I think this has to happen. We don't have the exact numbers yet, but anybody who has a Medicare Advantage plan, you need to double check with your plan. You want to make sure you're going to stay with that plan, number one, because if the premium goes up and the copays are really get jacked up high inside of it, you might need a shot for another plan. Or if the cost gets so high, it might be better to go to a Medicare supplement. And I straightforward prefer a Medicare supplement over any Advantage plan. I had for years offered Medicare Advantage plans to my clients. You have to jump through hoops. You can't go where you want to go. If your doctor leaves the group and you want to keep seeing that doctor, you can't. You have to go find a new doctor. So the other advice I give is, as you're looking for different Advantage plans and making sure maybe the one you're in is still working for you, call your doctors. Do not read those books. Those books are BS. You need to call your doctor and say, hey, Mr. Doctor, Mrs. Doctor, are you going to stay on this plan? And they're going to say yes or no. And I almost bet nearly half of them say no. This was annoying when I used to offer these plans, and it's just not worth it. So if you can afford to pay, to play, to have freedom of choice, 1,000%, I recommend the Medicare supplement. And most retirees can afford that. When you look at the overall costs and the copays and the deductibles in a Medicare Advantage plan, you might as well go with a supplement. And, if you want to go to Mayo Clinic, you can't go to Mayo Clinic. You want to go to certain hospitals, you can't do those on a Medicare Advantage plan. So I'm a big fan of the Medicare supplement. We offer them here. If you want a Medicare Advantage plan like Blue Cross Blue Shield, we have ladies that will do that for you. If you want PPO with an HMO with ARP, we have people that we can refer out to you. But again, you pay for what you get. And, this is just Medicare season upon us, and a lot of changes are going to be taking place. But remember, tune in throughout October in our show, because we're going to be breaking down Medicare a little bit more. And as we get more data, what is changing, we're going to be sharing that with you. But remember, Medicare, here's some basic stuff. Medicare A, B, C, and D. Medicare Part A is the hospital visits, and you pay that premium through all your FICA taxes, so you don't have to pay for that, but there are deductibles when you go to the hospital. Medicare Part B, you're going to have a monthly premium. It's going to go up a little bit, not a whole lot. I don't imagine it going down because I already heard it's supposed to be going up. And you got to pay that every month. And that's your doctor's visits, your labs, your outpatient services and surgery. And in Medicare Part D is your prescription drugs. So prescription drugs are going up. And so if you're used to paying $25 a month for a prescription drug plan, it's probably going to $50. Or if you have a $50 plan, it's probably going to $75. So costs are going up on your end. So we want to make sure we're shopping the formularies and your drugs are in those plans. So that's going to be key. And remember, Medicare Part C, that is the Medicare Advantage plans. Those are your HMOs, the PPOs, those ones that give you the free gyms and the extra over-the-counter stuff. Sometimes it's not worth it. 99% of the time, I am not a fan of those. But they're out there, and you don't have to pay a premium. But like I said earlier, you might be paying a premium here soon or a higher cost. So you need to really evaluate if the Medicare supplement's better for you or the Advantage plan.
Well, one of the things that I have enjoyed over the years that you and I have done this show, and I think you're so good at talking about Medicare. So many people are not. They just leave that to somebody else because you've lived in this area. And when you come in, and I talk about changes in your retirement, sometimes changes can be, hey, we found this great timeshare and we want to grab that, and can I afford to do that? Or something happened in our life that our child is going to run and come back and live with us. Those are changes. But there's also changes in you and your prescriptions. There's changes in your own health. You get a diagnosis and all of a sudden you start using your Medicare that you have right now and it's not covering the way you think it should. And Sharice, that's some of the conversation that you have and say, okay, let's tailor your Medicare and your health care to what's going on in your life right now.
It is important when you are in a season of life of prepping for retirement and or in retirement, you have the right advisor for the season of life. You don't need a stock jock in retirement. You need a retirement planner. You need that retirement planner to prep you before you retire. The retirement planner walks you through all these steps on Social Security. What are the taxes? Medicare, what kind of plans, investment planning, income planning, because it's about income now, not just growth, because now we're living on our money. Investment planning, how much risk should we have? Tax planning, to me, that's number one. You cannot have an investment plan or a retirement plan without a tax plan. Because you can just erode your monies to you and your spouse and then your kids if you don't have a tax plan, because you can save hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then we have the long-term care plan. Most people don't need to buy a long-term care policy. There's other things out there you can use, and or some people can just self-pay. You need to know that stuff. A stock jock's not going to be able to share that with you, right? They're just going to put you in a 60-40 portfolio and say, c'est la vie, good luck, take your money. And they're going to collect the dough because they get a fee. Last but not least, the estate plan. Wills, trusts, power of attorneys, healthcare surrogates, DNRs. If you don't have a DNR, shame on you. Do not let your children decide to pull the plug. You decide ahead of time. So there's so many things we have to align with, get set up, because it is a retirement maze and it is a puzzle. So the right planner for the right season of life, and you pay for what you get. So make sure if you have an advisor that's going to charge you 1% and just put you in a 60-40 portfolio and offer you nothing else, is it really worth it? Or you find the advisory firm that's going to charge you 1% and give you the whole kit and caboodle, and you get tax planning for free. You get Medicare planning for free. You get everything. You get a lot of knowledge. So when you are looking for advisors, make sure you understand who you're looking for, why you're looking for them, and don't pick somebody who's this tall, dark, and handsome, sounds good, looks good, and smells good.
Well, what we would love to do is have the conversation with you about your retirement and go to a retirement planner to do just that. That is Sharice Rivers at Zinnia Wealth. Find us online, zinniawealth.com, ZINNIA wealth.com. Give us a call, 833-368-3680. Again, 833-368-3680. Sharice, that is all the time we have on today's show. I'm going to give you the last word on it.
Live by design and not by default. And we'll see you here next week.
This has been Retirement Coffee Talk. To find out more about how the strategies we've discussed on this program can build the retirement you've been wanting, call Zinnia Wealth at 352-368-3680 or visit us online at zinniawealth.com.
Investment advisory services offered through Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, a registered investment advisor. The firm only conducts business in states where it is properly registered or is excluded from registration requirements. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators and does not mean the advisor has achieved a specific level of skill or ability. Insurance products are offered through Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC, Florida license L078655, and Sharice Rivers, Florida license P037744. Zinnia Wealth Advisory, LLC, and Zinnia Wealth Management, LLC are affiliated entities. The information presented is believed to be current. It should not be viewed as personalized investment advice. All expressions of opinion reflect the judgment of the presenter on the date of the podcast and are subject to change. The information presented is not an offer to buy or sell or a solicitation of any offer to buy or sell any of the securities discussed. You should consult with a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies discussed. Any legal or tax information provided in this podcast is general in nature. Always consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation. Any client experience discussed on this show are unique to that client. Annuity and life insurance guarantees are subject to the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. If you withdraw money from or surrender your contract within a certain time after investing, the insurance company may assess a surrender charge. Withdrawals may be subject to tax penalties and income taxes. Persons selling annuities or other insurance products receive compensation for these transactions. These commissions are separate and distinct from fees charged for advisory services. Insurance products also contain additional fees and expenses. Social Security rules and regulations are subject to change at any time. Always consult with your local Social Security office before acting upon any information provided herein. References to specific investments should not be construed as being past specific recommendations. The returns for various indices discussed in this podcast do not represent the performance of the firm or any of its advisory clients. Returns do not reflect the impact that advisory fees will have on an investment. Past performance may not be indicative of future results. All investment strategies have potential for profit or loss. Different types of investments involve higher and lower levels of risk. There is no guarantee that a specific investment strategy will be suitable or profitable for an investor's portfolio. Historical performance returns for investment indexes and/or categories usually do not deduct transaction and/or custodial charges or advisory fees, which would decrease historical performance results. There are no guarantees that a portfolio will match or outperform a specific benchmark. Investments in fixed income products are subject to liquidity risk, market risk, index rate risk, credit risk, inflation risk, purchasing power risk, and taxation risk. Because bond prices fluctuate continually, their yields change constantly.